Hi, I'm Rachel Bulman.
Hi, I'm Jason Bulman.
And we're the Bulmans. Thanks so much for coming back to our home this week. We've been excited to share with you about all that's going on at the Bulman house.
Yeah, we've been busy trying to get ready for school to start again, all 4 of the kids.
4 of the kids. Abigail's first year going off to school, so she's going to be going into preschool this year. That's going to be very painful for me. I keep asking her if she wants to stay home.
I mean, it's hard to believe that she's already to school age.
Yeah, we've done school supply shopping, and usually I fill out some form and someone else gets the school supplies because that's smarter than what I decided to do this year.
That is an amazing idea.
It's a great service. But then this year, because I'm insane, I thought to myself, well, we have 2 newborns. Hey, let's go get all the supplies ourselves.
Always the overachiever, Rachel.
So we did it. We survived. Everything's divided and packaged up, and we're ready for school to start.
Mm-hmm.
But not really ready for school to start. You know?
Yeah, I know.
Everybody keeps asking the kids, are you ready to go back to school? And they all kind of collectively say no.
Well, that's true.
And it's not because they're lazy. It's because they like being at home. That's what we tell ourselves, right? But when we orient ourselves to other people's schedules, things become a little more chaotic, I think.
Yeah, we were reflecting on the fact that, when school starts, it's great. You want your kids to be at school. You obviously want them to be educated. Right. School's a good thing. But you get there's always this temptation to get wrapped up into this sort of task-oriented mentality. Everything is driven by schedule, and the days are so busy that, it's almost like, I don't know if it's a marathon or a sprint or both at the same time.
Right.
Just trying to knock all these things out so that, they're done by the end of the day.
And it's not even school by itself, it's really work, which, even though I don't work outside of our home, I have a list of things that I try to say, well, I'm going to do this. I wish I would have brought my list in here today because I was looking at it earlier and I was thinking, how much time do I think is available for me to do this?
Exactly.
I must live in some other world where I can do these 25 things that I just wrote down.
Well, these kind of things, they bring up this tension, I think we feel inside of, work versus leisure.
Yeah, we kind of imagine them to be butting heads with one another and that they can't exist together, that it's not a both and reality.
Yeah.
But work and leisure are both necessary for us.
Yeah. But one thing that we did talk about is that leisure always is something greater and higher than work is, because work is always done for the sake of something else.
Right.
Whereas leisure is something that is a good in and of itself. It's something that you don't use leisure for some other reason. It is the end for which you're doing it.
Right. So what do you think of, if you close your eyes right now and I said, what's leisure? A lot of people, a lot of you, open your eyes, are thinking to yourself, leisure is doing nothing. We tend to think that leisure is like an activity, or leisure is some sort of pleasure. Maybe you're like, wow, I find my greatest leisure in eating bonbons and drinking mimosas and watching Golden Girls. This is not, I don't know why I keep going back to that place, but here we are.
This is some kind of subliminal thing you've got going on.
So we tend to always reduce leisure to that, though, right? We reduce it to some sort of inactivity or some sort of mode of pleasure.
It's true. But leisure, in its truest sense, is tied innately to celebration. You could almost say that those 2 words are interchangeable. Real leisure is about celebration. So, you think about a time when there was, a moment of timelessness, a time that you were wrapped up in this beautiful celebration, filled with joy, feeling loved, and feeling grateful for life.
Think about your vacation. That's one of those places I think that you experience that. If it's a true vacation.
Right.
When the last day that you're there or the last day that you're on vacation, you're like, oh, that's really kind of flew right by.
Right.
And it always makes me think of this picture that we have of Gemma. Gemma was the flower girl in one of our friends' weddings.
Yes.
And she had this unicorn headband and beautiful white dress, and she's on the dance floor, and the photographer managed to catch her mid-spin. And it's my favorite picture because she's completely free. Like, she is okay with who she is. She's fully loved. She's loving other people.
Yeah.
And she's dancing like no one's watching.
It's a moment where it's like, I'd be okay if that moment never ended.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Good. It's like this could go on for eternity and life would be good.
Right.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because we're so work driven in our society, we tend to make work something more important than leisure, and we inundate ourselves with so much activity and work that when it comes time to have leisure, we've forgotten how to even enjoy it.
Right.
It reminds me, like, I see a lot of patients in the clinic, and I see so many older gentlemen who are, they're millionaires now, they don't have to work, they try to quit work.
Right.
And I mean, I'm telling you, it's a matter of months, not years, before they're back at work, because they literally don't.
Right.
They don't know how to enjoy and have real leisure.
The other thing is, the other pitfall that I think we run into when we put work above leisure is that we have a tendency to define ourselves by work. You even hear it in the way that you talk to kids, and I do it myself. I used to do it all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? And when you say that, what do you want to be when you grow up? It kind of tells them that what they are now is not enough. Like you won't be anything until you have a job, until you provide something for society. You won't be anything until you're of some use to everyone else. And so it introduces like this utilitarian mindset at a really young age. What are you going to be? And kids are constantly being bombarded with that.
Yeah.
And we do it now as adults, right? Like, I am, who are you? Right. I am a physician assistant.
Right.
I am this. And for someone that doesn't work outside the home, when someone asks me, what are you? I kind of don't know. I watch TV and drink bonbons.
What's ironic is that if you were to say, like, I'm a mom, which is technically a higher vocation than a physician assistant, people would be like, oh, you're just a mom.
Wait. We got that on. We got that. Yeah. Higher vocation. Anyway, go ahead. So to make sure.
Yeah, live this moment up. Yeah.
Speaking of moments we don't want to ever end. Anyway, go ahead.
This is real leisure right now.
But if you said that to someone, they would be shocked, right?
Yeah, no, but there's a certain kind of like constraining that happens when you say, okay, what are you going to be when you grow up? Because it sort of says, well, shoot, I guess I'm not something that's important until I do. Yeah, until like I manage to define myself by some sort of career or task or whatever. And there's no freedom in that. And kids know that, right? So when you're like, when you kind of put that little seed in their mind, now, like, instead of going to school in freedom and a desire to learn things, for the sake of learning them and growing, now they're learning only for the sake of some kind of work, or for the sake of a career and that kind of thing. So, and
then it turns everything on its head and makes you sing songs like everyone was working for the weekend.
That's true.
I mean, it literally makes everything about work to do this.
Yeah.
I work so you can do that. Yeah. And so there's an issue here because we then think that everything has to be something that we do. So you even imagine leisure to be something that you somehow have to manipulate into reality. Mm-hmm. Like, in order for me to be at leisure, I have to do something. I have to do something to be at rest. But in reality, rest is actually given to you. Leisure is given to you. And everything around you has the opportunity to be a mode of celebration, a mode of leisure.
Yeah. When we brought the twins home, and we were just kind of sitting back and looking at all the kids, like being there with the twins, and we're there, and we just, sat and enjoyed each other's company and watched a show on TV.
We had just come back from Jason going to work every day, me going back and forth from here and the NICU, from this thought of like work, which is something that kind of draws you out of self, and not in a good way. It draws you out of self for utilization for some other purpose for other people, instead of service. And it's not necessarily for the good of the other as much as it's to produce a thing. And so we had done all this stuff, and then we come back together, and there was this moment in the living room when we're all sitting around, and I remember looking around and being like, oh, this is it. Like this, this is leisure. Is us all just being able to be here together. And really what happens then, if celebration, if you're in this moment of leisure, it should mature into generosity.
Yes, I was going to say that. Like, it's this sort of like school of leisure where you're able to then kind of freely be okay with who you are, and then freely decide, like, okay, what do I want to do? Like, I've been loved, right? I feel loved. I feel like life is a gift, and how do I want to respond to that? Like, what way am I being called to live out this love that I've received from my parents, especially? Like, I feel like kids kind of discover who they are, what their talents are, what they want to, invest their time in, hopefully in the context of a loving environment. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. And I think that's what we do here. Every time that you come home and you lay your head on your pillow and you rest and you find leisure, you're kind of recuperating for the next day.
Yeah.
And for us as Christians, especially as Catholic Christians, for us, the greatest place of celebration, the greatest point of leisure for us is the Mass.
Yep.
And it's this place, this reality where we store up something that the workaday world can't take away from us.
It's true.
You store up something that no amount of work will ever be able to deplete.
Well, the workaday world tends to like draw you into your own self, it's like all your own tasks in my sort of reality, and it's kind of small, and the Mass sort of draws you, as you were saying, it draws you into this greater reality of a God who's created you and created everything around you, and you have this incredible innate dignity and this purpose in life, and to participate in it. And so it kind of draws you out of your own little narrow-mindedness into this beautiful, and that brings about a lot of leisure. I mean, you hear people say when they finally like let go of all of the personal drama and make their life about someone else, there really is a sense of relief that comes with this life is not really about me. Right.
It's true.
So
yeah, I mean, and I think the other thing about us realizing that life is not about us being drawn up into the Mass and kind of going into this place of transcendence, is that everything then is from that. For us especially, coming together into Mass is when we're able to kind of say, hey, like, I'm going to store up something that the world can't touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And every time that we go back to that place, we're restored back to this understanding of leisure in order to work, and not the other way around. True leisure is really found with God. And I think what it really comes down to is that we've forgotten how to leisure. We've forgotten what leisure is because we've forgotten who God is.
Yeah. And without God, then work becomes this inhuman, hopeless activity.
Rolling a boulder up a hill.
and without God, leisure becomes
laziness.
Yeah, like just laziness, and it's not really, doesn't make you happy. In fact, like when your weekend's almost over and like that thread of work is there and you remember, it's kind of like it sucks the life right out of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
We can't define our leisure by our work. No.
Yeah, so you go off to work, if you turn it on its head, if you remember what leisure is, you remember that even though I'm having to go off to work, even though this is part of my day, it's correctly oriented because I get to come home. And home is where I'm found. And because I'm found here, I can go out and share it with the world. And so my thankfulness for what I have then becomes generosity to share it with everyone else. And it's the same thing with the kids. Even though we're about to give in to this whole going back to school thing, I'm gonna send them off well rested, found in leisure, found and loved, and then they'll be back in just a few hours to do it all again.
So go out there and find leisure, find real leisure,
and think about where you haven't received it well. Because leisure is not something you create, it's something you've already been given.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
God bless.
We'll see you next week.